manage your stash in Escape from Tarkov. Tarkov is going to wipe, so before it does, let's go over how to maximize your stash space from day one. When we first start out, depending on whether we pick USEC or Bear, we're going to receive some starter items. While it may seem tempting to keep them, I normally sell most of the gear and the guns straight to the vendor. This includes headphones, hats, certain provisions, and ammo. Not only does this provide me with much needed rubles, it also saves me a ton of stash space. So now after everything is sold, I only buy what I'm going to use for that particular raid. This is usually a Yuli armored rig, the Mosin carbine, the 6B47 helmet, the M32 headset, a balaclava, and a Birkit backpack. I'll also insure everything I bring into raid every time. So anything that I get back from Prapper and insurance can stay on Prapper and I can just equip straight to my PMC from his insure screen. Now it's time for some goal setting. So right off the bat, our priority and our focus is trying to get a lucky scav junk box as soon as we can. So this container cost about 1.1 million rubles from Therapist, but I promise will be a lifesaver for you. Not only are you going to save a ton of space, but you can now start holding items that you need for future quests and for hideout upgrades. Personally, I usually end up buying two fairly quickly. One of them is for items to sell, one of them is for items to hold. When holding items, use resources like tarkovtracker.io or the Tarkov raid guide for mobile. Not only will these resources show you what you need to hold, but they will also allow you to track them as well. Be sure to pay attention to the level at which you're eligible to receive that specific quest. That's important because there's no sense in holding items that you need for level 40 if you're level 5. This includes Kappa items, just vendor them. Any guns that I loot, for the most part, I usually just vendor them. Not only do guns take up a tremendous amount of space in your stash, to make a basic gun somewhat usable requires gun parts that we will not have access to, especially if you don't have the flea market. So instead of just staring at a gun in my stash, I would rather have the money that I can put towards something else. If you do end up keeping a gun, make sure you remove the pistol grip and the magazine. This will shrink the amount of space required by half. Even so, some of the guns that you'll loot have foldable stocks. So simply just hover over the gun and press your mouse scroll button to fold and unfold the stock. Over the first couple of levels, medical items are going to start taking up a ton of space. I recommend selling most of these items until you've reached level 24 and unlock Therapist level 3. With that said, do not buy the medical case for 550,000 rubles. Instead, do the barter for the slim filled med bag. While these bags are bigger than a medical case, these bags hold one space less than a medical case and will save you hundreds of thousands of rubles. Also, once you get level 15, check the flea market, as you sometimes can snipe them for cheap from other players. I know it may sound tempting to get out of a raid and try to keep all of the gear that you find, but unless you're going to use it, you need to vendor it. So for the folks out there that have gear fear, listen up. Just sell all of the gear that you don't want to lose. Now, if you're able to find something like an LBCR or a chest harness, keep them in your stash and use them for storage. Both of these rigs take up 9 slots, but provide double the storage space. So as a general rule, before you keep something for storage, right-click, inspect, and check the container size. My strategy for ammo is the same. Since I use a Mosin from level 1 to level 15, I vendor 90% of the ammo that I find. With that said, I make it a priority to complete Gunsmith Part 5, as this unlocks the ammo case barter. So in short, only when I'm able to get an ammo case will I then start holding ammo for future levels. So if you're going to follow my strategy from earlier about buying 2 lucky scav junk boxes, when you get out of a raid, just dump all of the items that you want to sell or vendor into the appropriate box. Now, when you want to vendor those items, you can sell directly from the box to the vendor. So simply just hold left control and left click each of the items that you want to vendor. So unfortunately, you're probably going to have to play a game of Tetris at some point in your stash. When you do, make it a habit to use your sorting table, as this rules for controlling clutter and helping free up some space while you're trying to organize. I'll see you in raid. Love y'all.